Speaker, and I want to thank the distinguished gentleman, my good friend from Maryland, for yielding me the customary 30 minutes. I yield myself as much time as I may consume.
Gentleman's recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The rule before us today provides for consideration of S-3522, the Ukraine Democracy Defense Lend-Lease Act of 2022. Mr. Speaker, let me start by saying that I strongly support this bill, which streamlines existing defense authorities to enable the president to enter into a lend-lease agreement directly with Ukraine and Eastern European countries. I know I speak for my Republican colleagues in expressing my wholehearted support for the people of Ukraine as they defend themselves and their democracy against Vladimir Putin's atrocities. And that's why I look forward, and so do so many of my colleagues look forward to voting for this bill later today. However, I have to urge my colleagues to oppose this rule as it continues Speaker Pelosi's authoritarian lockdown of the House of Representatives. For over 2 years, the Speaker has used COVID-19 as an excuse to deny members the ability to advocate on behalf of the people they represent. This rule keeps those oppressive procedures in place, despite the fact that even blue states, the bluest of states, are easing their COVID restrictions. Just further proof that my colleagues across the aisle care only about political science, not about real science. Further, Mr. Speaker, this rule fails to provide for consideration of legislation to address the serious issues facing the American people. Under this administration, under the Biden administration, our nation has careened from one crisis to the next. Right now, families across the country are facing 41-year high inflation and skyrocketing gas and food prices, and these are expected to cost the average American family $5,000 a year. This morning, we learned the U.S. GDP fell by 1.4% during the first quarter of 2022. This is getting worse by the day. 40% of small businesses are planning to raise prices by 10% just to keep up with inflation. This economic crisis is not the result of the war in Ukraine, as President Biden and the leftists on the other side of the aisle like to claim. This crisis is a direct result of the Democrats' out-of-control spending and their far-left, dangerous, radical policies. Just look at the fact that inflation has increased every month since Joe Biden has been president. Putin didn't invade Ukraine until February of this year. Yet during President Biden's first year in office, again well before the invasion of Ukraine, gas prices jumped nearly 53% from $2.25 a gallon to $3.44 a gallon. And again, that was before Russian soldiers ever crossed the border in Ukraine. But talking about borders, let's talk about our southern border. The border crisis that's a direct result of Joe Biden's incompetence and the radical policies of the left are leading to disaster. Thanks to the open border policy of the left, last month, over 200,000 illegal immigrants were encountered at our southern border. That's a new Biden-era high. That's over 200,000 illegal immigrants. To put this in perspective of my colleagues, that's roughly 3 congressional districts. Since Biden took office, over 2.4 million illegal immigrants have been apprehended at our southern border, including more than 40 individuals that are on the terrorist watch list. And this is only going to get worse if President Biden gets away with lifting Title 42. So again, Mr. Speaker, while I support S-3522 and, of course, the people of Ukraine, I believe this is a missed opportunity to help the American people, the people in southwestern Pennsylvania, and the people throughout this nation. I therefore urge my colleagues to vote no on the previous question and no on the rule, and I reserve the balance of my time.
Gentleman from Pennsylvania reserved.